Excellent. Thank you. And thanks for introducing yourself in the chat box before we get started. So welcome everyone to the July Maine State Breastfeeding Coalition Connecting the Dots meeting. This is a really special time of the every other month and part of the year where we get to see each other and hear what's going on around the state. As you can see on my screen, we have the agenda, which we'll start with this getting grounded part. We will move into a board of directors update and then into connecting the dots, where we will each have a chance to hopefully have camera on and introduce yourself, kind of what you're sharing in the chat box, but saying out loud. And then you're welcome to share any legislative updates that you're aware of, anything that's going on in your work that you want to make sure other people and the rest of the state want to know about, and any new research ideas that are emerging, any new challenges that you're having in your work that you think other folks might be able to help with because they may have experienced the same thing, or they just might have some general words of support and wisdom for you. And then we'll do a quick wrap up. The document that I'm looking at now is actually something that can be shared. So I'm going to copy that and put that in the chat box for you all to refer to. And you also all have edit access. So you can be adding to this document, and I'll just quickly show you what is here. First, I want to thank our annual sponsors. The sponsorship that we had this past year is starting to wrap up, and we'll be putting a call out for some new annual partners to support us in this upcoming year. So we want to thank all of our patron partners, and we also have supporters who have helped us throughout the year as well. I'll come back to this committee update in a moment. And also share that there are different ways that you can support the MSBC, either financially through our PayPal charity page, or through hosting your own fundraiser, maybe a Facebook birthday fundraiser, or it doesn't even have to be a birthday fundraiser. That can be pretty easy. And if MSBC is your beneficiary of your raised funds, we would greatly appreciate it. And then you can also volunteer or donate by volunteering your time. And you'll hear a bit about our committees in a moment, but there's a form that you can fill out to share that interest. We'll come back and share new knowledge worth having. So you can share verbally, you can also share by typing right into the document what some updates might be. So I'll go over those later. If you have any job opportunities in your workplace that you want to share, any parent resources or any research, then that's what this second part of our meeting is going to be all about, in that connecting the dots part. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point and come back and go on with our board of directors update, which I'm trying to think. In our last meeting, our annual update or annual meeting that was in May, I think we had officially shared. Petrichor, remind me, I'm not sure. I am now officially the executive director, part-time executive director of the Maine State Breastfeeding Coalition, which I'm really excited about. So I am technically not on the board of directors anymore. So we might either change that to just MSBC update, leadership update, or Petrichor, who is now our board president, might be giving this update. I didn't ask Petrichor to do that ahead of now, so I will go ahead and give an update that I was planning on. And then we'll move into the connecting the dots. And so again, a little bit about how we will go about the connecting the dots part of the meeting is I will essentially call on people and give you the opportunity to share. So we'll kind of go right down that list of attendees. So be thinking about what you might want to share or any questions that you have. So even if you don't feel like you have an update of any work that you might be doing, if you have any questions or anything that you want to hear from other people, then that is your chance to do that. You can also pass and just say that you're here to listen and be a part of this. So you have your opportunities to do either of those. So before I do pass it on to Petrichor actually to give their or the United States Breastfeeding Committee update, I'm going to share a little bit about or the conference update that we attended. I'm going to share a little bit about the committees and some updates we have from there. And that is all on that document that I shared as well. So we have an advocacy committee and we have been focusing on paid leave. So we'll share a little bit more about that later, about the state of paid leave in Maine, but right now we are celebrating. There's been a lot of hard work to gather public testimony and letters to the editor and calling legislators. So that's been a main focus of that committee. And in August, I plan on writing up kind of a blog post or a summary of what other legislative actions have happened this session that relate to breastfeeding, human milk feeding, chest feeding. There are so many bills that have been considered and either passed or not passed or carried over to the next session that relate to the families that we work with. I don't think I'll be able to pull everything together, but at least the ones that I'm aware of that relates more specifically to human milk or breastfeeding. So I'll be sending that out in August. We have an events fundraising committee, and they're planning on attending the Flatbread Community Night that is on July 18th. So we'll be sending more information to save that day. But if you live in or near Portland, mark your calendars for July 18th. It's an opportunity to go out to eat at Flatbread, and a portion of their proceeds will go to the Maine State Breastfeeding Coalition. And that's been a really great way to raise some money as well. That committee, the events committee, has also been focused on planning for World Breastfeeding Week and National Breastfeeding Month coming up in August. And we will be sharing more about that soon, but we'll be putting out a call for art at the beginning of August. So anyone who has any breastfeeding or chest feeding related, new parenting related art that they have created, or maybe it's a photograph that they took that they want to share. It might be a line drawing or a painting or any sort of visual art that is related to the work that we're supporting. That can be submitted in August, and we will share that on our website, the entries that come through. So be prepared to help share that out. We'll have a Droplets of Wisdom educational campaign where we'll have education shared on a regular basis throughout the month, just some little tidbits of info. We have our educational webinar in August as well. Our regularly scheduled first Thursday of that month will be a webinar on understanding feeding challenges. We also hope to be able to roll out a piece of our employee return to work toolkit, or one of the resources that will be part of that. We hope to share more, and I see Ashley is here, so maybe Ashley can share more about our progress there. And we'll continue to do fundraising and fundraising as well. So more volunteers, hopefully, and we'll be putting out a call for board of directors as well. We have a workplace committee that is also working on that toolkit. And if you received our emails, we are also putting out a workplace or return to work survey that Carrie from WIC and I helped put together and put out into the world, into the WIC world. And also we've been putting out through our communication channels as well. We have a DEI committee, and Petrichor might want to share more about any updates on that, but I know that they're working on a scholarship application, and Petrichor was on a panel. They were a panel speaker at the United States Breastfeeding Committee conference in DC last month, and they were inspiring and informative, and I was very proud to be there with MSBC as well. So that was awesome, and maybe they'll share more about that. And we have our communications committee that is also working on, I see Robin is here, working on blog posts and social media, newsletter updates, all of that. So on the form that I sent out, and maybe I'll share this again, you can find those links and more information about those committees there. So that's a little bit about what we've been working on. And Petrichor, is there anything else that you would like to add as the board president or as just a member of and share anything about the amazing work that you're doing?
I guess the biggest thing for me is that we really need more volunteers on our committees, and we also will be looking for board nominations as well. I apologize for my screaming children in the background. But yes, we're going to be needing more board nominations and more volunteers. That's like our biggest thing right now, because volunteers are really what makes the organization go, and we can't do all these wonderful things without our wonderful volunteers. So that's the biggest thing. And yet Kara mentioned the scholarship that DEI is working on. That's going to be specifically for marginalized communities. So Black, Brown, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQIA, disabled, neurodivergent, and it specifically will be for training and education related to lactation. And that's something that I'm really excited to be putting forward to really try to diversify lactation professionals in Maine.
Thank you, Petrichor. So I just put in the board member interest form / application if you have an interest in volunteering at that level. Otherwise, here is the form for general volunteer application. And essentially what happens when we see this come through is one of us will contact you and get a better feel for if there's a specific committee that would be of interest to you and that would fit your skill set and interest. And then we'll go from there and inviting you to meetings. And but if there are other specific areas, other ways that you'd like to help, maybe you want to help manage a lactation provider resource network that we're talking about creating. There are other ways. You don't necessarily have to be attending regular meetings. There might be other ways that you're interested in volunteering. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen again. And remind you of the topics that we often share. You can really share anything, but these might give you some ideas of what you might want to talk about. And then I'll go through and share what's here. And then start calling on people, okay? So we have our educational webinar coming up August 3rd. If you know of other educational opportunities, please either add them to the document or be ready to share those, and we can try to add to the notes here as well. And also think about what topics you might be interested in for future webinars, and we will do our best to try to make those available to you either through hosting one of our own or finding some that are out there that we can share with you. We are continually updating our resource library. This is one that I am planning on adding to our website, more information about break time for nursing mothers, including updated Pump Act information. And then the paid leave update. So it passed, LD 1964 passed in both the House and the Senate. The Appropriations Committee moved the bill into the state budget, which was a huge deal. That was a big piece of this. It can pass House and Senate, but if it's not put in the budget or the funds aren't approved, then it essentially dies. And then the final step will be Governor Mills signing this bill into law. So that should be happening soon. The budget still needs to be approved by the House and the Senate this week. And then there will be continued work, even though hopefully it'll be passing into law this year. It will still take about a year to build the program itself and build the administration around it, and also another year to raise funds for it. So for people to be able to put money into the fund, and then the following year, people can start taking out and using it. So it may seem like a long ways away, but we're going to be closer than we ever have been. So it's definitely something to celebrate. And then if you want to read more, read any of these news articles. Those are the most recent ones that were published. And the Paid Leave Coalition shared those with me. We'll be sharing more about World Breastfeeding Week events and updates. But if you have if you're hosting any picnics or doing anything else, I would love to hear about that today. If you have any job opportunities, we can share that. Yeah, and that is about it. So again, I will stop sharing my screen and go to the first person I see on the participant list, which happens to be Petrichor because they are the co-host. So Petrichor, anything you want to add or ask? And this is a great time to have cameras on if possible. I know that you might be eating and, you know, whatever works best for you, but we want to feel as connected as we can during this Connecting the Dots.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm Petrichor. My pronouns are they, them. I live in the Bangor area. I'm the president and DEI JB committee chair of MSBC, and I'm also a La Leche League leader. And I know Kara had mentioned the USBC conference. So Kara, myself, and another MSBC member went to the USBC conference last month, and it was incredibly inspirational and eye-opening. I learned so much, and I made a lot of connections there with a lot of different people. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway was that we need to be doing more partnerships and more collaborations with diverse organizations, and really doing more community outreach to diverse communities. I feel like I heard a lot of that from other organizations, other coalitions, that they do a lot of community outreach. And I feel like that's something we're not doing enough of. And I feel like that's partially because we might not know where to start, and partially because we just don't have the board, the amount of people on the board or volunteers that we need to be able to do that work. So that's why I said it's so important we get more volunteers and board members. I did speak on a panel at USBC. They invited me to come speak. Specifically, the topic was transforming organizations through operationalizing diversity, equity, and inclusion, justice and belonging. And it was an amazing panel. I got to speak with a doctor from the American Academy of Family Physicians, as well as 2 other members from other coalitions. So it was a really inspiring, transformational conference for me. And I'm still kind of processing everything I learned, because there was a lot of information that they gave. I guess for me, my question, I guess, or I guess something to think about would be, what connections do you have in your communities to underrepresented or underserved families that might be interested in having MSBC come? You know, we always want to know what these communities need. How can we help them? That's something that I've been thinking about a lot since the conference, is how can we help these underserved communities? How can we get them what they need? So yeah, that's it. Oh, the other thing, the DEI committee does still want to start a coalition-wide DEI book club. So if anyone is interested in that, I will put my email in the chat and you can email me. But it's something we would really like to get started. So yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Petrichor. I think that's a great question. Does anyone have any thoughts or suggestions for organizations or collaborative opportunities that would be specific to underrepresented groups in the state of Maine?
I know in Ellsworth, the WIC has a baby shower. It's an outdoor event, barring any rain. Excuse me, rain. And that's usually where I meet wider groups of people. And then the midlife I work with and myself, we send out information to chiropractors and other different kind of modalities for body therapy. But I think WIC is where we meet most of the people from marginal communities. So that baby shower is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree with Robin. We just participated in one in Skowhegan with KV Cap, and it was bar none, it was incredible. They had so much free stuff to hand out. There were so many people, partners there, providing education and support to underserved communities, and it was really inspiring to see. We really had we had a good time at this event. We took, let me see, there was 4 nurses there, and we really took a lot away from that, and we're already starting to see a lot of referrals. I've gotten the referral team to just kind of keep track on, you know, what we're seeing. Is there an increase since that? And we're already starting to see some, you know, some more referrals. So that's great. I think those would be really so valuable to do throughout the state. I don't know, you know, Robin, you mentioned they're doing one in Ellsworth. Public health nursing would love to be part of wherever they are, anywhere in the state, because that's where we're getting to people there. That's where we're able to talk to people and have discussion and, you know, do some teaching and then educate them about what's out there. So I think they're an awesome resource to have. And I think, Danielle, are you from KVCAP? Yes. Yeah, they were amazing. Thank you.
That's really great to know. Great. Any other thoughts or suggestions?
I wonder about connecting with organizations that already work with these groups, like the Capital Area New Mainers program, and also Transnet, Maine Transnet. Those might be two groups to reach out to.
Yeah, we do have some connections specifically to the New Mainers and to Maine Transnet. I know Maine Transnet right now is in a period, because since I'm trans, I follow them, but they're in a period of restructuring right now. So they're not really doing a whole lot right now beyond their support groups, because their board is completely restructuring. But yeah, thank you for those suggestions. And I heard a lot at the USBC that there's a lot of organizations doing the community baby showers. So I do think that that is a great avenue. It sounds pretty amazing.
Thank you. All right, Cynthia, you're next up on my list. Do you like to share next?
I knew that was going to happen. So my name is Cindy Grass, and I'm the public health nursing supervisor up in Penobscot and Piscataquis counties. We have a team of 6. Our team is full. We're the only team in the state right now for public health nursing. We're a full team. We just had Trisha Kehoe come on board and join us. And other than Trisha, because she's currently taking the CLC program right now, everybody else is CLC certified. So this is a free service that is offered to anybody in Maine, regardless of you know, the income level. And that's a big piece for us, getting the word out there and letting people know that we are there to, you know, we can come right into the home and help them and answer questions and do teaching. So I think it's I really want to get the word out there that we're available for anybody. As far as the World Breastfeeding event, I think that right now we're collaborating with Bangor Public Health, WIC, and Maine Families to do an event next month. I don't know if any of them are on here right now. I'm not seeing them, but so we're planning something. And I think my question would be, we're really needing support groups for new moms. And we're trying to come up with, you know, an idea where we can actually have moms go and have a platform where they can support each other. And I know you guys have a lot of that down in southern Maine, but we don't really have anything up here that, you know, that is active and, you know, people can attend either in person or virtually. So if anybody has any ideas there, that would be greatly appreciated to share those. Thank you.
Any thoughts or answers for Cynthia regarding that?
I've been offering support groups in the Ellsworth and Surrey area, and I get a few moms and they all say, this is so great. I presented them as a tummy time group, and but it faded off. I still want to keep doing this, and it fades away. I think summer is maybe a hard time. I thought more moms would be visiting and there'd
Right.
be so, but so every once in a while I throw something out there and I rent a space and hope for the best. I really don't know how. I think it's just, you just have to keep getting the word out, and eventually it sticks in somebody's head. Oh, I saw that flyer a year ago in Hannaford's, and then it sticks,
Yeah.
sadly.
What numbers are you getting down south, Kara? What are you seeing down there?
Yeah, so Maine Medical Center, our breastfeeding group just went back in person last month, and it's a hybrid group. So we do have a big TV, and we're still connected to Zoom for people who want to call in.
Mhm.
And we have a space for people to join in person, and we didn't know what to expect. It's still growing. I think we had 3 people in person last week and 1 or 2 on Zoom.
Mhm.
Week's a little bit different. We did have a conversation around, we can't really compare to pre-COVID really with anything in life. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it. Like, we often will compare to before COVID, before 2020. But I think it's hard to do that now, and we'll see how it goes. I hope to have more people in person, but I'm not sure how well the hybrid model will work as we get bigger in person. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then I know Birth Roots also has groups in person that I think might be a bit bigger. I'm not aware of many other groups right now. I think it's a regular problem or challenge around the state, I think, is getting enough people to have like a really solid group, because you might have 1 or 2 people join, but then they're not really getting what they may have come for if it's just 1 or 2 other people. But maybe they just wanted 1 other person to talk to. So I think that you just kind of keep going. You have to make that commitment to at least give it a shot for, say, 6 months or longer if you can. And then once you have a couple of people come, ask them to help spread the word in their communities too. And maybe have a guest speaker. I think that has helped in previous years to get more people have a guest speaker that might, and free food. And then they'll keep coming once they've gone that time.
All right. I like that, the guest speaker piece.
Yeah, that can be helpful.
And free food. Okay.
Yeah.
The Downey's Community Partners in Ellsworth, they have it's free, and you can even get transportation if you need it. And there's always little snacks, but the transportation is pretty key. And so I used to volunteer there before the pandemic, and there would be easily 8 families or parents and a baby or something. It was pretty well attended because of transportation. And then COVID hit, and nobody was, and I would see people in the grocery store, and they really want to know when we'd meet. And it just started up like 3 months ago. So I don't know how it's doing, but I will say food is helpful, but the transportation was really key. So that's a doozy.
And where do they meet, Robin?
On Avery Lane in Ellsworth, Maine, and it's a Head Start program at the same place. It's part of Downey's Community Partners, and there's a Y childcare preschool there, so it's all set up for that.
Okay, thank you.
And for those who do have their own transportation, it's key to have good parking, right? Free and easy parking. That's pretty important. And a place that you can meet regularly that's predictable for people to know, okay, it's every Tuesday or every other Tuesday,
right?
Same time. That can be a hard piece as well. And virtually, that is something that we might talk more about as a coalition, is do we offer a virtual breastfeeding group that's statewide that anyone can come to from anywhere, and they'll have that virtual, and it's not quite the same as being in person, but there are some benefits to virtual as well. And if that's something you think people you work with would be interested in, let us know, and that might be something we add to our list of activities and discussions. All right, thank you so much, Cindy. Ashley, you're up next.
Oh, hi, everybody. All right, I was like clicking on the little mute button and the little hand wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I'll just chime in. Ashley Edmondson, I'm a program manager with the Let's Go program, and we're a program at Maine Health in the community health department. My colleague Audra and I are here, and primarily, I mean, our program right now is actively working on our work plans for the year that align with our strategic goal, which are our strategic plan, which is located on our website if anyone was interested in looking at that. And part of our collaboration this year with the Maine State Breastfeeding Coalition is supporting and working in partnership to develop and help execute some of these workplace tools that Kara had talked about at the beginning. So we have identified 10 new tools that are really nearing the end of final drafts to send to a designer. And we're going to be able to hopefully have a couple available for the first week of August. But working closely with Kara and others within that subgroup to sort of figure out what is the best language within these resources to support working and lactating parents and employees in their return to work. And then sort of what our communication and dissemination plan will be. So we will certainly be wanting to reach out to the larger group and getting the word out once those are final. So if anyone has any specific questions on what's been identified and what we have on deck, please feel free to reach out. But things are moving along quickly and efficiently. So just, yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley. We've so appreciated her leadership through this. It can be a bear of a project to pull all of this together and lots of ideas and suggestions. And I think it's going to turn out to be really fantastic. So stay tuned for that. Audra, you are next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Audra Bushagan. I work with Let's Go team as well, and I'm on the healthcare side of things. So we are currently working on expanding access and teaching materials for our B2 messaging, which includes responsive feeding, healthy foods, healthy eating, sleep, screen time, and recommendations, as well as parent and caregiver recommendations. And they're really just short snippets with some tips and tricks on some things to help new parents and caregivers up through the first year of life. Well, it's actually up to 2 years, but one of the programs we're collaborating with Uber Care, which Carrie, you may know about, it's at Maine Med. We will cover up to a year of life with them. So that is a messaging platform that parents and caregivers can sign up for. That it's a it can be weekly, monthly, whatever, however it's set up, depending upon the campaign, to kind of just shoot out some messages to parents and caregivers on, again, some tips and tricks to help support them during the first year of life, which with a new baby is probably pretty intense. And then when you have your second baby, you might have forgotten what happened with the first baby. So hopefully it's helpful to folks throughout the first year of life for all of their children. And that's going to roll out for Maine Med and Southern Maine Healthcare soon. And then we're working on some teaching tools to help support our primary care practices with the messaging as well. So we're going to pilot those with 5 already identified practices within the state. So I'll keep you posted on that. Let me know if you have any questions.
Excellent. Yeah, and if you haven't already introduced yourself in the chat box too, maybe add your contact information in case anyone here wants to reach out with questions about that. Maybe they can, maybe there's some resources you can share.
Audra, my question is, do you have that in other languages? Will that be?
It will be. Yep, it will be available. It's going to be translated as soon as we get the graphics and all of the fun things done. We've got it. It's gone through our literacy review with Maine Health, so it's in a reading level that hopefully will meet most needs. And then when we get the graphics straightened out, we will get that over to our folks to translate. I think it's going to be 6 or so languages, and that'll be out for. We'll have that on our website so people can have access to it as well.
So it's not out yet, but it will be will it automatically go out to clients who are Maine Care or what?
No,
No.
no, it's just going to go to the, so we're going to pilot the messaging and some teaching tools with the practices. It is currently rolling out in the Maine health practices. Many of them have monitors in their waiting rooms where they like frequent messaging goes out. So those are they're rotating through there. But we haven't really expanded it outside of Maine Health at this point, and we want to do a little bit more work with enabling our primary care providers and pediatricians to actually do some teaching. And we've put up the responsive feeding messaging. We put up in the newborn nursery, the Family Birth Center at Maine Medical Center, which I have heard from one of the physicians out there that the teams feel it's been pretty helpful. It's on the bulletin boards in each of the rooms for the families. So we're hoping it's providing some support, but we can, if you have suggestions as to other avenues to blast this information out to people to support them, let me know, and I'd be happy to look at that.
Yeah. Are they available on the Let's Go website already for anyone to access, or not quite?
Not yet. No.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Audra.
Sure.
Let's see here. Catherine McDonald, you're next. You're still here.
Hi, everybody. I'm a public health nurse working out of Bangor. Still relatively new to public health nursing, less than a year still. Less than a year as a CLC. And I'm very happy to be at this meeting. I think I've missed a couple of them just with all the hectic stuff in the last few months. So I'm happy to be back in. And it was really interesting. Just a lot of themes were coming out around something that I was kind of thinking about too, with my clients. Most of them at this point are really rural. And while, it's wonderful with people who are that rural that we can get out and see them in their homes. And I was wondering when we feel like they need additional or next level support, like the IBCLC level support. What are options? Are there options for remote or sort of telemedicine, telehealth delivery of expert breastfeeding consultation? And what are those options for people who have Maine Care, if any?
Was that a question that you had, Catherine?
Yeah, it was. And actually, Robin, I was hoping maybe you'd have some insight about it. First of all, what's the nature of Maine Care coverage for IBCLC services? And does that include telehealth delivery, or do you have to be in person?
So I have two avenues, and one is at office visits at a private practice in Ellsworth, a midwife practice, and Maine Care get free visits. I mean, they don't pay anything, 6 visits, and in person. We haven't done telehealth. I don't know about that yet. And there's another group that I'm with called the Lactation Network. It's a national thing, and they just do mostly private ones. But Maine Care, for sure, come on in, 6 visits for free. I try to tell people, and we have a little package like 1 prenatal and then 5 follow-ups. Get them now. But there's too much planning for most people. So
yeah, well,
it's good.
It's really good to hear. And I felt like that support is there. Do you know if the reimbursement is available for telehealth, or
if somebody pays for it and then do they get reimbursed?
No, I mean, will Maine Care pay for it? Is it?
I think so.
Like that's
I think so, but I honestly don't have experience with that, so
yeah.
I would have to look into that.
And the reason I'm asking, I think, is just it feels like with distance, with time, with transportation issues, which you raised so beautifully there, that I have a sense that with many of my clients and perhaps other parents as well, it's maybe easier idea or easier way of accessing some extra support and services and advice remotely, rather than having to make that trip into an office.
Yeah, I understand that. Totally. I love home visits. It's not always covered.
Yeah.
I
There-
just don't know about Maine Care. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you, Robin. And Kara definitely loved the idea of getting another virtual group on the go too, because by the same token, I feel like for a lot of folks, virtual is a lot more attractive for a lot of reasons at this point. After I think it's shifted since the pandemic, as you were saying. I don't know if we're ever going to go back to exactly the way things were before. Thank you.
Yeah, that's thanks for sharing that. Well, that's something we can talk more about. I put in a couple of websites that have virtual lactation visits. They're not local to Maine necessarily, but there might be providers, like Robin said, who might live in Maine, but they work through these different websites. And I know that there are more out there. So if anyone else is familiar with any, then please put those right in the chat box.
Thank you.
And then the Maine Care question is a really good one. And someone else, a lactation consultant in the Portland area, just sent me a message asking about that too. And I looked back in my email, and it was about a year plus ago that I was in touch with the director of the Office of Maine Care Services about that. And I sent her that conversation and the information she sent. And I thought to myself, this might be really good to put in a newsletter, in a MSBC newsletter, just some basic information about Maine Care coverage of lactation. So thank you for asking that. And I'll add that to my list of future topics. And bug me if you don't see it. Okay, great. Thank you, Catherine. Thanks for being here. Katie, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Reed. I am here with the Paid Leave Coalition, which you all are a part of. So I just wanted to share some updates. We're really excited. The bill LD 1964 passed in both chambers in the House and Senate, and then also was put into the state budget recently by the Appropriations Committee. And so today, I believe the House will be voting on that budget. And then the Senate will also vote on the budget this week, we hope. And then Governor Janet Mills put out a statement last week saying that she would sign the budget with paid family medical leave in it. So that is all really good news. And if everything goes as planned, our program will be starting. And it would be starting the way the bill is outlined. Premiums would start in 2025, and then the actual program where people could take leave under it would be in 2026. So more to come on that, but it's just a really exciting win, and you all played a very big role in that. So for anyone who has shared their story or shared testimony or anything along those lines, your advocacy really made a big difference. So thank you all.
So thank you, Katie, and thank you for leading the way. It's been a lot of work to lead a coalition like that, a paid family leave coalition, and you've done a really excellent job. So I hope you're feeling really good about the work that you've done. Awesome. All right. We have, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people left, and we've got about 15 minutes left. So just wanted to give that that heads up on timing. And I think Danielle is up next.
Hello. I wanted to make a comment really quick about the telehealth or virtual visits. I had a mom who the struggle was the flange size was wrong. And so it was kind of like a pumping issue. And it was over the weekend, and she emailed the information that came with the pump. It asked, if you have help. So it was an IBCLC, got to her within 3 hours. And spoke with her for quite some time and really covered more than just what was specific to the pump. And so I hadn't even thought of that. And she was just kind of desperate on a weekend and found that really supportive. And that's just free. I mean, it's the pump, the company was paying for that. That was a Spectra pump. So I don't know about the others, but that may be helpful. So I am with KV Cap Maine Families. I'm a family visitor myself and a supervisor in Augusta. I'm also a CLC. Anytime I get a chance, the only thing I'll put in is, hey, we're hiring. We are short-staffed as usual, but we have probably 3 family visitor positions to fill. Otherwise, it's going great. We finally have a CLC in Augusta, Waterville, and Skowhegan. And got a little extra funding for another one to be doing the training in a couple of months. We did change our qualifications for a family visitor. We put it on a level. So there's like a 2-tiered system, because one of the struggles was we always need a bachelor's degree, which somebody could have excellent experience and maybe even an associate's degree, or the bachelor's isn't in a certain area. And now we have a family visitor 1 position that can accept someone with an associate's degree and 2 years experience with families and children. So had to put that plug in there. It's a great place to work. So if you know anybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, Danielle, if you want to send me the job listings, if you have a link to those, you can either put in the chat or send me an email, then I can try to get that in a newsletter too.
I will do that.
And is that tiered position, is that for all of the Maine family programs or just the one at KV Cap?
As far as I know, it's just our program. We had a big shift over the past 6 months too. We have a new program director. So a lot of things have been like gone through and changed, and there's a lot of really good work going on. And that was one step to trying to be more fully staffed. We're lucky because we do have a small waiting list, but nobody has been turned away. And anybody can get this program. And so we've been able to enroll people before they age out, basically. So we're making it work. We're trucking along, but I will put that in the chat.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, Lindsay, you are up next. If you're available, Lindsay. Oh, okay. No webcam microphone. Lindsay, outpatient lactation consultant at Maine Medical Partners in South Portland. No updates to share today, but happy to be here and hear what's going on around the state. Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay, for being here. I know you are a big breastfeeding champion in Southern Maine, so glad to know that you're here with us. Rachel, Dr. Criswell, you are up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Criswell. I'm a family medicine doctor and IBCLC in Skowhegan. I was really excited to hear about all the activity going on in Skowhegan, the baby shower and the CLC with KV Cap. That's great. I am really excited to share that I just received a grant to start a small cohort looking at PFAS exposure in central Maine, which is one of these forever chemicals. And as part of that grant, we're going to be collecting human milk. This grant does not cover any work with human milk, but my hope is that once we have the samples, we'll be able to study them for PFAS and look at different components of the milk and maybe even, follow the children who were drinking the milk. So I'm really excited about that. And I just want to say that I always use stuff that I learned in this Connecting the Dots session. So thank you so much for everything you're sharing. And please know that it's going directly to my practice next door.
Thanks, Rachel. That's really exciting. You're doing such great work in that area. It's really important information to have. So I look forward to hearing your results at some point and your learnings. Great. Stephanie, you are next.
I'm Stephanie Levine. I'm a public health nurse in Machias. I just got my CLC a couple of months ago. No updates, no questions, just here to listen and learn.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Well, I have a question for you then. We were talking about virtual groups and support needed in remote areas. Do you feel like any of the families that you've been seeing would join a virtual group? Like, is internet access a concern as well for anyone? Or do you feel like that would be something people would join?
I think that's something definitely people would join down here because it's a long way to anywhere down here.
Hey, thanks for being here. I also want to grab Danielle's link, make sure I save that. Okay, Trisha, you are up next.
Hi, everyone. Cindy kind of mentioned me earlier. I'm the last hired public health nurse for the Bangor location. I'm very excited to be a part of the team. I'm learning a lot, and I'm currently in the CLC course as we speak. Learning a lot and excited to be out in the field and helping families and providing support when I'm able. Just glad to be on and hear what's going on as well.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. I think everyone has had a chance to share. Robin, did I skip over you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I had you written down because I wrote down things you had shared, but it didn't give you an actual turn. So Robin, go for it.
That's really okay. So I'll make this brief. My name is Robin Snyder Drummond. I live in Ellsworth. I'm an IBC LC, and I offer office visits at a midwife's private practice, and I do home visits through Lactation Network, which is basically home visits are basically for PPOs, but the midwife takes main care. I also offer a prenatal breastfeeding class, and I also offer tummy time classes, and I'll be teaching tummy time through the Ellsworth Adult Education in October. But the big news I want to share, and Kara knows about this, is that the Milk Bank Northeast wrote a grant for the Davis Family Foundation to promote milk dispensaries and pasteurized donor human milk banks and such in the Down East region. Woohoo! So they got the grant. So I'm keeping in touch with them, and I write the blog, and my goal this next month is I'm collecting droplets of wisdom. So every day in August during World Breastfeeding Week, there'll be a droplet of wisdom. And then throughout the year, there'll be at least 2 droplets of wisdom a month. I'm using Breastfeeding and Human Lactation textbook because I'm really aware of misinformation through social media. So referencing everything, and it's going to be all over MSBC and our websites, and link to it and share it with your friends. So that's my news.
Yes, thank you, Robin.
You're welcome.
Robin, what website are you going to be sharing that on?
The MSBC, well, MSBC has a Instagram and also the website. And then I have my own website, birthready.com, and I put tidbits on that. But I'm doing that Droplets of Wisdom. It's a little campaign that the coalition is doing with our little logo, which is drops. And it'll come out on Instagram, and I'll reference it in blogs. I'm also going to do a blog about the history of the World Breastfeeding Week and National Breastfeeding Month, so that people understand this is a real solid thing that's been going on for a while. Yeah. So it's mainebreastfeeds.org.
That's our website, right? And we will create a page for all of these to live on, maybe at the end of August, once they've all been shared through social media. We might put them all up on the website, unless we do it once a week or something like that. We have that option too. And in the blog.
Yeah. So to be fair, the person who does the Instagram is Grace Cook. I am doing the research and presenting them to her, and then she's the one who schedules them and posts them. So I just want to give a shout out to Grace Cook for her work on Instagram and Facebook.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay.
What else? Anything else come up for anyone? Any other questions or thoughts you want to share in these last few minutes?
Robin, what is your, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well,
What
I'm
is
just
your
asking
role?
people in Bangor, did you know there's a milk place, a place to get donor human milk in Bangor now?
I knew that it was coming, so it's actually there now?
I don't know if I thought it was coming too, but I just taught a prenatal class, and the pregnant mom told me it was there. I don't know how she knew that though. So I'm just curious if you knew.
Yeah, is it a milk depot to drop milk off, or is it a dispensary where they can?
You know what? I'm just gonna call the milk bank and ask them.
Yeah, they probably have it on their website too. They're pretty good about keeping it up to date, what is where.
Yeah,
We
I'll
can
look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
And Robin, what is your role down in Ellsworth?
I'm an independent IBCLC and I volunteer with the MSBC.
Okay,
And my birthready.com, birthready.com is my website. I'll put that up here.
okay.
You can sign up for my newsletter.
It's a great newsletter. Robin's
Can
really
you-
good at sharing good info.
Is your email, could you put your email down
Sure.
below as well? Thank you.
And it's also, you can reach me through my website too.
Cool, thank you.
Sure. Milk bank.
Well, maybe instead of taking time to go around again and just ask, what is one thing you're taking away from the meeting today? If you want to type that in the chat box, that's usually helpful. Does everyone else see Petrichor's child tapping them on the shoulder? Made me laugh. So name one thing that you're taking away from today's meeting. Just you can either unmute and share, or you can type in the chat box. I'm always inspired by the work that people are doing around the state, and am so happy when people make the time in their busy schedules to join us and just to have this time to connect. So that's what I'm taking away, is that sense of connection in particular. And
I'm putting in the chat the information for the Bangor Milk Depot, because it is open. So I'll put it in the chat where that
Thank
is
you.
and when it's open.
And it's a depot where they can drop milk off, is that right? Not a place they can get milk yet?
I think they can pick up milk there as well.
Oh, okay.
So a depot is different than a dispensary.
Yes, so the depots, once they're cleared as a milk donor, they've gone through their screening process and the blood test and all of that. Once they have a donor number, they can bring their milk to the depot, and that person who operates the depot is the one that ships it down to the milk bank for them. A dispensary is where they need to have a prescription. They bring it to the dispensary, which might be at a pediatric office, it might be at a hospital, or might be a midwife's office, and that person then dispenses milk to them. And what I think our October guest speaker or webinar will be the person whose name is escaping me from the milk bank. She'll be kind of giving a new update on all things milk banking in Maine.
So you have to have a prescription in order to get milk?
Yes.
Okay, didn't know that.
And then part of the update I'll be giving in August around legislative activities is that last year, Maine Care agreed to pay for donor milk, but the program is still being developed in a way, and part of this grant will be huge to get more dispensaries around the state so more people can have a place to go to get donor milk. And with Maine Care, or as of this session, private insurance was passed. That was a very quiet process. We didn't find out about it really until toward the end, but it is now Maine law that private insurance should cover the cost of donor milk. We'll be learning more about that and how that process will work. We haven't really made a huge announcement about either of these because we don't want to cause uninformed chaos in the sense that, like, well, what do I do? How do I do that? We don't even know those answers yet, but we're working hard to get there so that it can be truly an accessible program. Okay. Great. Thank you everyone for sharing and for making time to be here today. Yeah, great. Just looking at the comments here. Well, it's 1:02 all of a sudden. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you get some cool air. I'm looking forward to wiping the sweat off my forehead. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Happy July and World Breastfeeding Week and National Breastfeeding Month once it's here. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.